Welcome into this video, guys. Today, we're going to be talking about the 4 books that changed my life. I'm going to tell you guys what each of these books are and explain the story of why it was incredibly impactful on my growth journey, both in building an awesome body, but also just becoming a whole new version of myself, transforming my mind, my own self-image, my reputation with myself from somebody who was very stagnant to now I can proudly say somebody who's very self-confident. And the reason I can even talk about this, guys, I've invested over $50,000 in mentors the past 5 years. I've spent hundreds of hours studying the top personal development book, and everything I'm going to share with you guys is not from a place of me like preaching or posturing. I just genuinely have an intention to be incredibly vulnerable and share the experiences that really helped me through some tough seasons in my life. And yeah, follow me. We're going to start on we're going to do like a little multitask like usual, where as I work out in between sets, we're going to talk about these books. And I haven't worked out today, and we're just going to go through the Optimized Fitness app and do it like that. So if you guys don't know what the Optimized Fitness app is, this is basically what I do with all my clients or the optimizers who are building fitness as a habit in their life. Is they have like a way to basically help them work out, help them keep themselves accountable. So I help them set their schedule. I help them like determine, hey, what days of the week are we going to work out? I see their workouts when they finish, so I kind of hype them up. I give them feedback. It's a really effective way to just kind of turn it into a long-term internal habit. And yeah, you just kind of swipe through, watch the video on the exercise, plug in how much weight, how many reps you did, and do it like that. So we're gonna start on an exercise that I love. I do this one almost every video because it's just one of my favorites, the cable lying bicep curl. So I already know what my record is on here. It's 110 for 4. I don't think I'm gonna be able to beat that. Like right now, I'm not like as much of a bulk as you would say, where I'm like really focused on setting records every single week. I'm actually been training for a marathon, so I'm running 19 miles tomorrow. So that's kind of made it a little harder to set like incredible new records every time I work out, but I'm still gonna pick a weight that's gonna get me right near failure in the gritty rep range. So between like 5 and 10 reps, that's normally when I like to get right near failure. So I already have 100 pounds on here, so enough yapping, let's get gritty. All right. Jeez. Holy cow. Oh, hurts so good. I love it. But guys, the first book that I want to share with you that really changed my life is actually, I'm gonna couple it up into 2 books, but it's The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. These are actually philosophy books. So philosophy, you know, fundamentally, like maybe when you think of philosophy, you think of like these just very stoic guys that are in these statues that are just asking, what is the meaning of life? And just like kind of very amorphous, intangible, irrelevant questions. Philosophy is actually a lot more important and applicable to everyone's life. Everyone actually lives by philosophy. Philosophy is like just a code of life that you live by. It's like a code of values that you live by. And even if you say like, oh, I don't accept that, that is actually stating a philosophical perspective. Like we all have some fundamental philosophy that guides and shapes the way that we live our life. And when I kind of grew up, my general philosophy towards life, even though it wasn't very conscious of me, was just like, hey, I just want to do whatever feels good. Like that was kind of my goal. Just like be happy, like do things that made me feel good. So that was like video games, you know, junk food, porn, just random things that had no meaning behind them, that were just kind of brought me like this instant sense of pleasure. And eventually as I went into high school, I actually studied philosophy in high school. So that was like one of my classes that I took there. I was writing a lot of essays on it, and I heard about these different philosophers. So we studied like Immanuel Kant, we studied John Stuart Mill. So like it was basically like this philosophy of deontology and this philosophy of utilitarianism. So I started learning about all these different perspectives, these different ways that we ought to live. And eventually none of that like really, you know, resonated with me. I was learning from those philosophers in school. And then eventually I went to college. I still studied philosophy, and it was the same thing. I was learning from like Aristotle, Plato, all these other philosophers too. And it wasn't until I read this book, The Fountainhead, that I really was like, holy cow, this was speaking to a voice like that was within me me that I had never put my finger on, I had never been able to articulate. And it was kind of like expressing thoughts and words that I felt like I had in my mind that I had never actually put out into the world. And especially the Fountainhead is, you know, I've shared kind of the premise of the book before on this channel, but it's really about integrity. It's a story about living a life of values and a life of purpose over just a frivolous life. And it's about self-esteem, fundamentally, the book, right? So the book's about a character named Howard Roark. He's an architect in the early 1900s, in a time when everybody was just designing very classical types of buildings, the Renaissance. It was all kind of just copycat types of architect that didn't actually have opinions of themselves, but they kind of just wanted to design what was culturally accepted. Howard Roark was different though. He didn't want to just do what was normal. He actually had his own personal convictions on what beautiful architecture should look like. And he had just an innovative building of like these beautiful modern style buildings in a time when there was no modern buildings in the early 1900s. But he stood firm by his vision. And it was really hard for him. You know, he didn't get a lot of work. A lot of people kind of put him down. They wouldn't take a chance on him because he was so different. And through it all, he never compromised his values. He remained with integrity. And he believed that his ability to like envision beautiful buildings represented like the best of the human spirit. It's like human beings are beings with just this incredible creative ability to innovate, to just express themselves. And he really thought that that was like the good, was to live like a life of values and a life achieving like the best within yourself. And it just inspired the crap out of me. And the whole book's kind of like this dichotomy between Roark and then this other character, Peter Keating. And Peter Keating is like the complete opposite of Roark. He's basically like, he only designed buildings to get like this prestige, to win awards, to, you know, look good in the eyes of everyone else. But he didn't actually understand architecture. He didn't understand, you know, the engineering behind designing buildings. He didn't have a good reason as to why he designed them the way he did. The only reason he did it was to look good in the eyes of everyone else. So his whole goal was greatness, but it was like the status of greatness. It wasn't actually this internal pride or this internal virtue of living like in alignment with your own personal convictions. And the whole book goes back and forth between these two characters, Roark, who just embodies integrity, and then Peter Keating, who's the absence of integrity. And one of my favorite quotes from the book is Ayn Rand writes, "Everyone needs self-esteem. It's either we seek it from the approval of others or we create it ourselves." And what I loved about that is like at the time, I was totally finding my self-esteem through the approval of others, or just, you know, I didn't really have a ton of self-esteem because I never even heard about ideas about like having values, living in alignment with your values. So it was just, you know, when I read that, I kind of had this fundamental paradigm shift in my own personal philosophy and how I was going to live my life. And I went from somebody who was very just like go with the flow, do whatever feels good, to like, hey, I want to start defining what my values are, and I want to start living with integrity. I want to start living with virtue, and I want to start putting my values into action. And I want to start actually playing life on offense. Like Roark loved life. Even though his circumstances were hard, he loved designing buildings. The few opportunities he got, he made the most out of it. And he designed the most beautiful buildings that eventually, like, I'm not going to spoil the book, but towards the end of the book, as he's getting more recognition, is like he ends up living this beautiful life. And he finds like, you know, a wife who totally, you know, like matched him in values. And I just thought it was super just inspiring. And at the time, like I was just not living like that. I never met somebody who lived like that. And, you know, that's about around that time after I read that, I was like, you know, what's something that I loved? And I started to love working out because it was my first time that I wasn't just taking the back seat in my life. It was the first time I wasn't being the biggest procrastinator. I wasn't just, you know, doing the bare minimum. It was the first time I was like, hey, I'm starting to try my best in life. The gym was my first thing in my life that I was like, this is my outlet to express myself. This is my outlet to not cut corners. And this is my first time I'm just going to be the best Jacob I could possibly be and make myself proud. And then when I started as a personal trainer, I took a slice out of Roark's philosophy. Like I lived with integrity. I tried my best every single day. I didn't just seek to train how it would be popularly accepted. I didn't just program how my clients wanted me to program based on what they thought was the best for them. Like I actually had some personal convictions on things that I had learned, and you know, I trained the way that I knew was best. And it, you know, that's why I've learned so much about the science behind building muscle and all these things about like, you know, that I talk about, and you know, all these things I've learned is I've kind of consolidated that into my approach to serving others. And yeah, it's just served me really well, and it's been like one of the biggest shifts in my life. Like had I not read those books, The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged, I know for a fact I would never have adopted the right philosophy that would have led me to taking the right actions that led to everything that's happened in the last few years. So it was really like a pivotal turning point in my life. And Atlas Shrugged is by the same author. I recommend to read Fountainhead first. Atlas Shrugged is a little bit more philosophical philosophical, but it's really all about self-esteem. And I think a lot of people, when they think of self-esteem, you know, there's some beliefs that kind of float around in the world that's like, oh, like you don't want to be selfish. Like pride is like a bad thing. It's like you can't have pride. And the way Ayn Rand describes it in her books is not about like pride in this very egotistical way, like I want to be super proud so I can look good, you know, to you. It's like a very earned pride. It's like self-esteem has nothing to do with anybody's opinion of you. It's your own reputation you acquire with yourself, right? And your own permission to view yourself as worthy of your best life, as worthy of just thriving in life. And that's really what Atlas Shrugged is all about. It's about this character named John Galt who represents self-esteem, and it's really it's a philosophy. So philosophy is like what's moral, what's immoral. And her book, and especially Atlas Shrugged, is all about giving yourself the moral permission to be the best version of yourself. A lot of guys are floating around with beliefs in their mind that like it's immoral for me to grow because it means I'm going to be selfish. It means I'm going to leave other people in the dust, right? When in reality, that's just totally a fabricated like belief that has been probably passed on to you from somebody that you've been around, maybe your parents. In reality, your personal growth has nothing to do with, you know, how you're going to treat other people, how you're going to act as a husband, a father, a brother, a son, any of that. You can still be a great human being, but also give yourself the moral permission to be the best version of you, right? So I always say it's not like, you know, you don't want to be like a boat that just leaves everyone in your wake, but you also don't want to be like a doormat that lets everybody walk all over you. It's like you can't help anybody from an empty cup, right? So fundamentally, what I love about, you know, when I think about philosophy, to me, if philosophy can be captured in this picture of like a cup that's overflowing with water and pouring into all the empty cups around it. It's like you want to be the best version of yourself so much that your cup is overflowing and pouring into all the cups around you. And Atlas Shrugged is just all about like giving you the words to articulate these things so that you can actually like give yourself the moral permission to be the best version of you, but with confidence. And I couldn't not recommend those books enough. There's not only are they so insightful and good, they're also just great stories. They're incredibly entertaining. And I love the audiobooks. I initially just read the audiobook the first 2 times I read it. I read both those books twice, back to back. The Fountainhead back to back, then Atlas Shrugged back to back when I was like 20 years old and maybe 19 or 20. And it just changed everything. It really set the bedrock, like the foundation for my consciousness and how I've gone about my personal growth journey. And I know I wouldn't have the courage to have started a business had I not read these books. I would not have had the courage to even maybe become a personal trainer. I probably wouldn't have this like as good of a body as I do now. You know, I was stuck with a lot of those beliefs that like by me playing small, I was helping people around me. My be shrinking, I made others look good. When in reality, I learned it's like, hey, you want to be the lighthouse. You want to stand tall. You want to shine bright. And that's actually the best way you can help people is by empowering them, inspiring them. And yeah, so I just personally love those books. If you're not a big reader, like, and you are considering reading them after the story I shared with you, like maybe even just get the audiobook. They're really, really entertaining. The audiobook's by Christopher Hurt. He's a great narrator. He does a great job with different voices. And yeah, I promise you won't regret it. I recommend those books to everybody that I can. And I don't think anybody's taken me up on it, which is kind of wild because they're a long book, but I've probably recommended that to like dozens of people that when they tell me like, Jacob, like what's like that one thing, like I'm stuck. And I'm like, dude, you should really consider reading this book. And nobody's ever like read it and come back to me, oh yeah, I'll read it. And then they don't. It's kind of wild actually. But anyways, let's continue, guys. Let's go for the next set. And then I'll share with you guys the next books that really helped me. Can you guys see the sun getting in my eyes, like nice and sunny? I personally love the sun, so it doesn't even bother me. To me, it can never be too sunny. Maybe tomorrow when I'm running 19 miles, it's gonna be too sunny, but right now it feels pretty great. So first set, guys, we got 100 and we got 5. I'm sweating like crazy right now. All right, let's continue. One more gritty set on here, guys. Oh, gritty time. Oh, the grit. Ooh. Ah. Maybe you guys are wondering, Jake, why are you training like that? I thought I was supposed to do 10 to 12 reps. I thought that was hypertrophy. Well, guys, a really important idea that I've learned in the past 5 years on this personal growth journey I've been on is it's really just the last 5 reps before failure on a set that do anything for muscle growth, right? So that's why I'm not doing a lightweight, going super slow and getting to 10, 12 reps. I'd rather pick a heavier weight, cut out the fluff and get right to the meaningful rep, right? So building muscle is like cutting through a steak. Most guys, it's like they're using a butter knife. So they do a lot of stuff. They go really fast. They don't take a lot of rest, but they're not going to make that much of a dent into the steak because each thing that they're doing is pretty ineffective compared to the gritty reps, which is what I call these last 5 before failure. That's like using a steak knife, right? So you make less total cuts because each cut that you make is incredibly effective. All right, so we did the first 2 sets, guys. 100 for 5 on each. Check that guy off. And that's why I don't normally do 2 sets instead of 3. It's like 2 really good sets. I'd rather do 2 really good sets than like 3 mid set, right? And then you can do that on multiple different muscle groups. All right, we're gonna go to the cable lat pull down, guys. Follow me. Oh, nice. A little bit more shade. This is nice. I hope you guys have been doing great. It's been like a few weeks since the last time we did one of these videos. A lot has been developing in the last few weeks. One, I'm like a month into caffeine detox. So I've been drinking any coffee in, yeah, like a month, which is pretty wild because I started drinking coffee like pretty much 5 years ago, and I had been drinking it basically every single day for 5 years straight. I love coffee. Like, I would identify as a coffee lover, but I was finding I was becoming a little too dependent on it, and I didn't want to be dependent of anything. I think I should be in complete control of my life and be in the driver's seat. Nothing should have control over me. So when I kind of popped into my conscious awareness that I had been growing too dependent, I was like, let me take complete control. So I've cut it out. Now it's been a month, and I've basically proven to myself I didn't need it. Like, I'm the generator of my own energy and my conviction and my vision and what I do and what I believe. And now if I choose to reintroduce coffee, which I probably will, it'll be very consciously, just a few times a week in the morning, just once a day, to like amplify whatever I'm doing. So if I'm in like a creative work sesh, then I'll get my espresso on ice, sip on it, and lock in as an amplification in a way to still, you know, do something that I love, not as a dependency. So I always say, like, actions aren't bad or good in and of themselves. It's always contextual. So coffee in this case, when it's done very consciously, a few times a week as a way to amplify and get me into that deep flow state, it's a virtue, meaning it's moral, meaning it's a good action. It's congruent with who I'm committed to becoming. Compared to the same exact action, when I become dependent on it, I'm doing it every single day. Now a good thing in excess is turned to a vice, immoral. It's not congruent with who I'm committed to becoming. So that's kind of how I gauge like whether or not something is good or bad, moral or immoral, a virtue or a vice, is I start with the end in mind. Hey, who am I committed to becoming? What does the best version of me do? And then is this action congruent or incongruent with that version of myself? And that's kind of my filter of what should I do every single day and why, right? So like right now, I'm recording a video for you guys, helping you guys, sharing my own personal stories with the hopes to serve you. For me, this is a big stick on my fire. It's a big virtuous action. And even though it's uncomfortable, like it's not always easy, especially today, like fully transparent, I had like some fatigue today. Like all of a sudden kind of hit me like a wave, where it just wasn't my best day. Like that happens sometimes. But like in that moment where, you know, I'm deciding, hey, like, do I want to still do this recording session? It's a big virtuous action for me to say like, yeah, like let me have the courage, even though I don't feel my 100% best, like I'm still going to do something that I know is aligned with who I'm committed to becoming. And I know it's going to be helpful for you guys, compared to the opposite. It was like, oh, like, let me just put it off. Like I've done that before. And like, that's a bite. I hate when I do that. That's like somebody trying to get fit that just like slacks off on their diet, eats something that is terrible for them, makes them feel like shit. Like that's not good, right? So it's like when you do something that's not good, it's like, yeah, that sucks. But it's like, okay, let me follow that up with 5 good actions. Like that's the only way we can respond when we mess up, guys, is like bounce back tenfold, right? Like I'm not perfect. I don't know about you, but most human beings I know are not infallible. Like we have a tendency to sometimes slip up on things that are important to us. So it's not about expecting perfection. It's about like literally thinking, who do I want to become? Committing yourself to acting as if you were already that version of you, doing what that version of you would do, and understanding like I might make a mistake one day. And it's like, okay, if I make a mistake, I'm not going to ruminate on it. I'm going to shrink my mistakes into irrelevance by stacking so much proof that I still am who I'm committed to becoming. I'm not who I was. And that's fundamentally how I think about, you know, virtue, vice, all that stuff. All right, but let's get to this next exercise, guys. We're going to go for the cable lat pull down. Let's get gritty. I'm going to put a heavy weight on here. That's going to get me right near failure, right in that usual rep range. I call this the gritty zone. Normally I would have weightlifting straps on right now. I think I left them in my bag, so we'll just go raw. All right, let's get gritty. Five. All right, you guys ready for the second book? I'm gonna sit down for this one. All right, second book that I want to share with you guys that really changed my life is it's another duo. I'm gonna couple these in the same camp because it's like similar types of book, but it's The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker and The Secrets of the World Class. When I hired my first mentor, so like just for kind of timeline context, right? I read Fountainhead, Atlas Shrugged. That was like my whole life. Like I read those books, I reread those books. That was my bedrock. That's what I lived by. That was from like 2021, 2022 through like the end of 2023. And I had like gone really deep on Ayn Rand and her philosophy. I read like The Virtue of Selfishness, like a really good philosophy book that she wrote. But that was like I was still in school at the time, so studying a lot. You know, I'd read some of these other philosophy books, just studying philosophy. I also studied sport management, so I was doing some business studying, and not that it was helpful. But then anyways, let me stay on point. I digress. At the end of 2023, like around August, November time, I basically, like, I remember I was in a pretty big rut at the time. I had just started I was a personal training manager at UFit, and I had already had like failed my business, Optimized Fitness. Like initially I started when I was like 20 years old. And I had already started and failed, and I basically was like, kind of started coasting again, like went back to just a trainer at Crunch. I was now at UFit, but not living into my purpose. And I was just finding myself really kind of having like a lot of internal friction that I couldn't articulate. I didn't have the words for why I was feeling what I was feeling. I just remember I was at like on vacation with my family, and we were in a cabin in Georgia, and I just remember sitting next to my sister. Like the whole vacation I was not present the whole time. Like I was not present at all. Just totally in my head. And I just remember like breaking down in tears next to my sister. Like we were sitting like on one of the beds like in this cabin in Georgia, and I just said, it feels like I'm going against an army by myself. That was the only way I could explain why I was feeling what I was feeling, because I knew I had this ambition inside of me. I knew I had this potential for greatness that I couldn't unsee, and I just knew I wasn't living into it, and it brought me to literally to tears. And I remember like when I got back from that vacation, I picked up a book called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell, and like I read this book, and it just showed me like what was possible. Dan Martell, the whole book fundamentally about living in your zone of genius, delegating all the things that drain your time and energy so you can spend all day, every day doing things that fill you up with energy and make you tons of money. So like for me, it was like working out gives me energy, creating content gives me energy, like empowering my clients gives me energy, texting my clients gives me energy. But there was like tons of things that I was doing that like totally drained me. You know, I do so much busy work. I didn't have any assistants working for me like I do now. So I spent all my time doing everything, wearing every hat. And at the end of this book, there's this chapter called Dream Big, Achieve Bigger. And this chapter 100%, like, I mean, so many things I'm sharing with you changed my life, but this thing 100% changed my life. Where Dan, like, if you don't know Dan Martell, like look him up on Instagram, but like this is a guy living like an unlimited life. Like he has his dream relationship with his wife. Like he's a great dad to his kids. He has like over $100 million net worth. He's like crushing in business, like future billionaire. There's great friends. He's an incredible coach that's just helping tons of people. He's like reads a ton. He's just super valuable. He's like the most valuable person I've ever met and learned from. And he just inspired me because it was like, okay, this is what's possible. So everything that I had read in Atlas Shrugged and Fountainhead, like these were fictitious characters. They weren't real. Like Howard Rourke wasn't real. John Galt wasn't real, but Dan Martell, like he was real. Like he was doing it, you know? And I was like, all right, I got to learn from this guy. And I put my pride aside. I got back from this vacation. I read this book, and I invested $8,000, all my money that I had saved up, to learn from Dan Martell and to enter his coaching program. First ever time I had a coach. I'd been very prideful in the fact that like, I'll figure it out. Like I kind of had that way of thinking, like, oh, I don't need help. Like I'll do it. I can do it my way. Like I already know better. And it was the same thing with building muscle. Like I thought I had it all figured out, like with the high reps and all this and the supersets and the crazy exercises. That's a whole other topic. Before I kind of had to put my ego aside and evaluate like what's true, like what's actually true and why is it true. Like a lot of beliefs and things that we think are true, if you ask somebody to explain it, the only rationale they'll be able to give is like, oh, like that's just like what I've always known. That's what I heard, right? When in reality, it's like, is that a good answer, right? So basically, after I started with Dan Martell, like he just was the most inspiring person for me at the time. Like he just showed me what, like a whole new set of beliefs that I had never considered in my life, like all new ways of thinking that I had never thought like. And he's had something called the 5 daily non-negotiables, and like there's 5 daily habits that you have to do every single day. One was like working out. I already had that one down. One was like posting on your story every single day and like building like a personal brand, like sharing yourself, being an inspiring figure towards others. Another one was like reading every single day. And I was like, all right, well, what book should I read? And one of the ones that he recommended were these books, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. And he said that these books were absolutely like essential for him to reprogram his mind to lead him on path to become who he inevitably became. And so I picked up this book, right? This was the start of 2024, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And in the first chapter, he says something, it's called I think he calls it maybe it's like the law of manifestation. But essentially, T. Harv Eker writes this model where he says, your thoughts, let me write it like this. your thoughts lead to your feelings lead to your actions lead to your habits, right? Your habits, I'm kind of expanding on this. You just kind of said your actions leads to your results, but fundamentally it's like your thoughts and your feelings like dictate what you do dictates what kind of habits you build, what kind of habits you build dictates your identity, who you are, right? So like Aristotle says, you are what you repeatedly do. Like you are the product of your habit, right? Like think of, they used to say like John the Carpenter, right? They would call him the Carpenter because he did carpentry. Like, you know, like that's how we define people, is through like what they do. Same thing, like I'm a gym goer, I'm a fit dude, I wear what fit people wear, like I lean into that identity, I carry around the water jug, you know, because I have all this evidence that I've accumulated that I am that kind of person. But fundamentally, I only am that kind of person because those are the habits that I have, because those are the actions that I took, because my inner world produced those actions. But we'll get to that. So fundamentally, your identity produces all the results that you inevitably create in your life. So everything you create, the kind of body that you have, the relationships that you have, whether or not you start a business, your financial success, your, you know, social status, anything that you could possibly think of results wise is always the product of your character, your identity, of who you are, because that will ultimately determine like the habits and the things that you do, the goals that you go after, and all of that, right? But let me get to the point. Like the whole idea in this book that T. Harv Eker writes about is that your programming leads to your thoughts and your actions, right? So it's like fundamentally your programming is the root cause. When he says programming, he's like your brain is kind of like a computer, and the fact that you have to give it the right programming, the right code, like it's kind of our, you know, it's kind of on us to decide like what beliefs do we want to adopt, what like data do we want to surround ourselves with, like what ideas do we want to input into our mind. Whatever we input it into our mind and we choose to adopt and make our own, that fundamentally serves as like the programming for our brain. And the programming of your brain is kind of like the software, and what you end up doing in the physical world and the habits you set and your identity and your results, that's like the output of that software, right? And this resonated with my experience at the time because I had already had this kind of life-changing paradigm shift by adopting, you know, the Ayn Rand philosophy and by reading these books, The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged. So to me, it didn't sound like, you know, woo-woo or like mystical. I was like, oh yeah, this makes complete sense. Like this totally resonates with my own experience, that if I can change my programming, then I can change my inner world, my thoughts and my feelings, and I can start taking new actions. I can start setting new habits. I can change the way that I think about myself, and then I can ultimately transform my results in my life. And this whole book, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind and The Secrets of the World Class, these are books that give you empowering ways to think. So the whole book goes back and forth. It's like, hey, super successful, prosperous, happy, fit people, they think this way about life. Super unsuccessful, out of shape, disempowered, negative people think this way about life. And it's like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth on all these like 25 different ways of thinking, right? And then both of these books are basically the same thing. Secrets of the World Class, same thing. So it's all about, you know, basically when I read that for the first time, I was like, damn, I have to read this and reread this and reread this. I've probably listened to those audiobooks, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, Secrets of the World Class, probably a total of 100 times put together if I had to guess, because for about 2 years now, I just play them in my car on repeat nonstop. Just because I'm always programming my mind with the right ways to think, because I know if I have the right data in my brain, then I have empowering beliefs, then it's going to produce the right thoughts and feelings, actions, habits, identity, result. So those books have just been absolutely transformational. So like I highly, like strongly would recommend, or just invite you to consider looking at them. Like most people, when I recommend them, like, oh, like what kind of beliefs are in there? And it's like normally simple stuff. Like we normally need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. It's like, hey, like, you know, very happy, successful people, they take responsibility for their lives. Whereas like very unhappy, like non-successful people, they play the victim in their life. So it's like simple stuff that you've probably heard before. You're like, okay, I know I should not be a victim. I know I should be responsible. But when you're constantly being reminded that, when you see a situation occur just in a normal like occurrence in your life, you're going to like choose the empowering way of thinking and take the right action. So those books have just been absolutely essential for me to just reprogram my mind. Like 2024 was like the year of reprogramming my mind. I had all these limited beliefs. I had all these disempowering beliefs that I just brute force changed the way that I think. It's almost like you have to brainwash yourself into thinking new thoughts and adopting new ways of thinking until they just become your standard mental operating system. And that's why those books have been like super, super important and essential for me. And that's why I'm sharing them with you in this video. And the off chance that you might decide to do the same thing, I would recommend it. The only reason you wouldn't do it is if you like don't want to be the best version of yourself for some reason, which like I can't see any reason. I think that's why we're here on this earth, right? Is to become all that we're capable of becoming, to shed all these layers of like our own limitations, our own fears, so that when we're on our deathbed, we can just actualize our full potential and like not look back on our life with any regret. So if you want to truly do that, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't at least consider picking up a couple of those books, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind Mind, Secrets of the World Class. That way you have new ways of thinking that can help you take new actions, set new habits, create new results. But yeah, that was a great book. Those were 2 great books that I wanted to share with you. Let's go for the next gritty set, guys, and then we'll keep it moving. Is this as fun for you as it is for me? Like, this is the easiest video I've ever done. This is just like what I literally like love talking about is this these things, guys. Like, I'm the type of dude like I've read a lot of books, but when I find something that I like and I'm like, okay, this is incredibly valuable and resonates with me, I go deep on it. I just hammer it, just brute force style. So like these books I'm sharing with you, like The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged, both of these are like thick book. Like the audiobooks themselves like 50 hours long, but I read them both 3 times. Secrets of the World Class and Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, like I said, like probably over 100 times. Because like I've read a lot, but when I find the ones that I know are truly essential and helpful, like I go really deep on them. So it's been a great strategy for me. Maybe it's a flaw. Maybe I should like expand myself to even more like options out there, but maybe one day I'll like decide that. But right now I just kind of do what feels right, and that normally feels right. But let's get gritty, guys. I'm gonna go for another set on here. Go same weight. Let's get it. No. Fail. I love it. I love the grit. Let's get it. All right. So that was 2 sets on here, guys. So we got 185 on both sets for 5. Very efficient, very effective. All right. Let's move on, guys. Let's see. All right. Follow me. we're going to go single arm cable row here. Do it like that. Actually, you know what? Let's follow me, Marshy. Let's mix it up. Let's go right here because we've never done any videos over here. I just realized that. So I'll share with you guys the next book. Yeah, let me sit right here. Do you think this is a good spot? All right. We'll make it work. All right, next exercise, guys, we're gonna go for the chest supported lateral raise. So I like these a lot when it comes to lateral raise variations, but it's really just right here on the bench, and we're gonna go out here. The reason I like that is you tend to get a little bit more of the side delt, right? So the side of the shoulder when you kind of have that slightly bent over position, which I like a lot. Can't go quite as heavy, but no big deal. So I'm gonna go right here. Let's go 30. What's up, Brandon? How you doing, brother? Good to see you. Oh, dude, no worries. Guys, this is Brandon. Do you wanna get on the YouTube video, bro? Hey. Do you wanna get on the YouTube video?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, we're just doing a little live workout talking about like some of the books that made the biggest impact on me and my life. Yeah,
that's fire.
But guys, Brandon just did a bodybuilding show and I saw the video. This dude came out with an absolute dub. He got the most jacked and shredded physique I've ever seen. He was like, yeah, you literally crushed it, bro. Tell me about like what was that experience like for you training for it?
It was tough because I decided to do it 4 weeks out. So I was already pretty lean, but I wasn't competition lean. So we had to really push for 4 weeks. Like I was doing almost an hour Stairmaster twice a day on top of my step.
Damn.
I was down to like 1,200 calories, trying to really get down to that conditioning level.
Damn.
So it was really, really tough. Like mentally, it was really, really tough. But
what was it like being on stage and dude, you know, flexing up there?
there's no other feeling like it, especially when you bring a package that you're proud of.
Yeah.
Like it just flows so naturally.
Yeah. That's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
So I saw one time on Brandon's story, guys, he did this ice cream, but it wasn't like real ice cream. It was like strawberries. What else was it?
Yeah, it was Greek yogurt, like Oikos yogurt, and then I did frozen. The trick is frozen fruit. So Greek yogurt, protein powder, frozen fruit.
What kind of protein powder?
I usually go for like raw flight food is really good. Something fruity. I like fruity stuff. So pause. But
Yeah.
that's like fruity flavors, and then like frozen strawberries.
Really?
A little bit of honey.
Okay, so you just take that in a bowl and you just mash it up.
Mash the frozen fruits, make it into like an ice cream.
Interesting. And then you just throw it in the freezer too.
No, you don't even need to do that. If the fruits are frozen, just mash up the frozen fruits. Just so good.
You guys heard it here. So it's like frozen strawberries, protein powder, Oikos Greek yogurt, a little bit of honey, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
And just mash it up.
You just need enough frozen strawberries to
Get the right consistency.
exactly. Yeah.
Interesting, bro.
Exactly.
My freaking God.
Got you.
Thanks, Brandon.
Tell me where you go.
Later, brother. All right, guys. So let's get gritty right here. Ready? It's the reason I don't normally do the dumbbell lateral raise. It's just really hard to get in the gritty reps because you kind of just hit a point where, normally with the gritty reps, you kind of will get like the last ones will kind of look slow, but you can still get the full range of motion. These ones, they kind of just like stop halfway, which is a little weird. But I still like this one. They're fun and they're easier to set up than the line cable lateral raise. So you can still do them. But guys, let's talk about the next book. So the next one I want to share with you guys, this is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And it's really all the Napoleon Hill book. Think and Grow Rich. There's also one called How to Own Your Own Mind. There's one called Outwitting the Devil. So this was around the exact same time that I was learning on The Secrets of the World Class and The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, but Dan Martell recommended to read these books by Napoleon Hill. I was like, all right. So what I didn't tell you is in Buy Back Your Time, that chapter that really inspired me, Dream Big, Achieve Bigger, Dan Martell basically told the readers to create like a vision board. And he said, like, imagine like your dream life, like nothing off the table, like in every part of your life, like with your career, your business, your relationships, your empire. He said, like, give yourself the permission to just dream big. He said, don't worry about how you're going to get there. Don't worry about any disempowering thoughts of like, oh, who am I to do that? Like, what if I can't do it? He said, just give yourself permission to shoot for the stars. And, here I was 22 at the time, made this massive vision board for myself. And that was right before I read these books, Think and Grow Rich, that Dan recommended. Think and Grow Rich is the most interesting book. It is all about like literally that you can, through repetition of thought, you can basically like program your mind to believe anything that you want. And it's basically the whole idea is about like whatever you can conceive in your mind and believe in your heart, you will achieve in your reality. And it sounds crazy, but once you read it, especially when you read it multiple times like I have and like read all the Napoleon Hill book, you realize how true it is. And he gives all these anecdotes of people that like they did not take no for an answer. Like if you really believe something in your mind and you have that perspective, like there's no plan B. Like I will do this or die trying, like burn the boats, right? And when he says burn the boats, he gives this anecdote of like this army general who's taking his soldiers to war. They're invading a country and they pull up to the shore. They get off the boat to go to war. But before they leave, he lights the boat on fire. And he says, man, we're either going to win this war or we're going to die trying. Retreat is not an option. You see the boat going up in flames. We can't win. We can't come back unless we win this war, unless we're alive. And they won the war because they had no sense of retreat. So same thing, like I had just created the vision board. Basically when I created the vision board too, I created this idea called the optimized island, which for me was totally just an idea that just once it popped in my mind, I like couldn't get it out of my mind. And I just thought like, if I was gonna literally do what I'm doing to its fullest, right? And helping people be the best version of themselves, helping people get fit, then I was taking that all the way to the natural extreme. I think, whoa, well, what if I created an island in the Caribbean, a massive island with beautiful villas and state of the art, a gym, a coffee shop, place where people can just go for maybe a couple weeks or a month every year to just fill up their cup, to just recharge and just become the best version of themselves, to find their purpose. And once I created that idea in my mind, keep in mind, guys, everything in my circumstances at the time would have said like, you're crazy for thinking that you can do something like that. I was living in Gainesville. I had no inspiring friends around me. My business was literally doing like nothing when it comes to, revenue. Like it was so hard. I was basically had gone broke at times. Like everything in my circumstances was what I'm trying to get at was extremely incongruent with this massive idea that I decided to conceive in my brain. But I was reading all these books from Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, How to Own Your Own Mind, Outwitting the Devil. It's all about faith. And when it says faith, it's like when you give yourself the permission to dream big, it's going to require a level of faith to believe that you can get there, because every voice in your mind is going to tell you to doubt. It's going to say, who are you to do this? Like if you are not fit, but you have this dream of being super fit and building a physique that you never thought was possible for yourself, you're immediately probably going to get hit with this voice of doubt. I've tried before and I failed. Like I had tried my business before and failed. Like there's always going to be that voice in your head that is going to be like with doubt and fear. But what I learned in Think and Grow Rich in all these books by Napoleon Hill was that's just a choice. And if you have that perspective, like there's no plan B, like I'm going to do this or die trying, and that burn the boats mindset, and like, hey, just give yourself the permission to believe and get crystal clarity on exactly what you're shooting for, believe that you can get there, and act as if it's already yours. And when you do that for long enough, then every single day you're showing up like that version of you who already has what you want. You're just building that belief. It's easy to have faith in something that when you're acting in a way that is consistent with the idea that you have in your mind. In those books, I really, guys, like a big idea in this books is, he describes like the thoughts in your brain to like a filing cabinet. And he said, whatever, thoughts that are at the front of the filing cabinet, those are the thoughts that are the most prominent in your life. And so he says, like, imagine, he said to make thoughts more prominent, to get them to the front of the filing cabinet, he said, you need to do a few things. One, you need to think those thoughts like with repetition. Like you need to do it continuously, repetitively, right? He said you need to think those thoughts with emotion. You need to actually get like emotionally involved with these ideas. Like it's a difference between, you know, me just saying like, oh, like I want to create the optimized island, and like me like, you know, actually creating, like waking up early, looking at this vision board, imagining myself already on the island, imagining the entire layout of the island, having a conversation with my future self. Like I literally did that. Like I pictured my future self, his office, what the layout of the office was like. I could tell you the exact layout of his entire home. I could tell you, you know, like what the paintings look like on the wall, right? I could tell you where the sun rises and where it sets. So I can tell you all these little details that I conceived in my brain, and I created it in my mind with so much, you know, vivid clarity that my soul, like my subconscious mind, just accepted it as a belief. And I like this quote I actually heard today. Let me pull it up because it's a really good quote. I heard this from Alex Hormozi, he's one of my favorite mentors. He said, "We question all our beliefs except those we truly believe and those we never think to question." I'll say that one more time. We question all our beliefs except those we truly believe, and those are the ones that we never think to question. The whole idea is like whatever belief you really truly adopt and you don't, you know, recognize an alternative, like the ones that are really embedded into your heart, it's like we never think to question those. So by, you know, doing this process for an entire year of waking up early, looking at this vision of the optimized island, visualizing the whole thing in such extreme detail, you know, like getting emotionally involved with it, I basically like embedded this idea so deep into my subconscious mind that I wake up every single day and that's all I think about. All I think about is how can I create consistency with this vision. Like it became my life purpose to the point where I never really have a worry of like, oh, am I gonna not think about my vision one day? Like it's become like, it's like imagine you were in love, same thing. It's like if you're in love with somebody, you see them all the time, you're thinking these emotional thoughts of love, so it becomes the thing that's top of mind. It's always embedded into your heart, into your subconscious mind. Same thing, you can replicate that same idea but with your vision to the point where, hey, I'm thinking about it so frequently, I'm so emotionally involved with it that it's top of mind. Like it's like I can't not do the things that are aligned with that, right? So really just powerful book. Like I wouldn't say it's a good book to like make your first thing that you do, because I feel like if you don't have that foundation of integrity and self-esteem like that I learned from Howard Rourke and I learned, you know, initially, this is more like a tactic. It's a really effective strategy to get, you know, to get what you want and to, you know, achieve your vision. But I wouldn't say it's like gonna fill that void of that self-esteem. I think that comes from integrity, from living in alignment with your values, and from some of these other ideas that you know, that we already kind of talked about. Another honorable mention I'll just throw on there is like the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's a great book, really great book. Basically everything that we've talked about so far today is in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and it's about literally, it's like living with integrity, taking responsibility for your life, thinking proactively, like, you know, understanding that you're not just a victim to your circumstances. You have the choice to act despite your feelings and despite whatever's happening to you, and thinking with the end in mind, having a vision, and then putting first things first, setting the habits to create congruency. All these things I talk about, you know, there's most of the things in life that are like that I've learned to be true, and from all these personal development books, it's like the few core ideas are the really important ideas, and it's not so much about like this new novel thing. It's more about doing the basic just super consistently. That's what I like about the 7 Habits, is it does a good job just covering like all those basic. But yeah, let's go for the one more set, guys, and I'll talk to you guys about the next book. All right, let's get it. Let's get gritty. Let's have fun. All right. Man, I can barely get the full range of motion. I'll just do a superset just for fun. I love it. I love the grit. I love working out. So fun. All right, follow me, guys. There's so many ideas to pick up in Think and Grow Rich, How to Own Your Own Mind. I wouldn't even be able to say it all in just, you know, one go. But another idea I'll share that I like is in that book is like basically I learned human beings can create thought habits. So kind of like you can create physical habits by doing actions consistently. You can also create mental habits by thinking certain thought patterns consistently. So that's when I learned that, and I coupled that with the Secrets of the World Class, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. I'm not just listening to those on repeat, for fun. I'm doing it to like create a mental habit of these empowering ways of thinking, because I know that will serve me in my life. But yeah, guys, we did those three. Like really, I mean, everything I've shared has been incredibly impactful, but there's more that I want to share too. Let's go for the next set. I'm gonna track those weights. Let's go for the next exercise. I'm gonna bring some weights out and we'll do some curls. All right, guys, I got a couple weights. Now we're gonna go for some hammer curls. This just came to mind, guys. So another really important book that I've read is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. So candidly, I've probably done over close to 4,000 hours of personal training sessions in my life. So like times when people paid me money to come in, do a workout with them, and I'm basically talking with them the whole time. So I've also had a lot of reps just like in personal relation skills and speaking with people. But like when it comes to that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, some of the most important ideas, like if there's one idea to take away from that book, it's like when it comes to human beings, so human beings are all incredibly important and we all have like infinite potential within us, and we're all just like screaming to be appreciated. Like we all want to be recognized for our true self, for the true potential that's within us. So it's like anytime if you want to like leave a good reputation and make friends and just make people feel good, it's like always make people feel important when you're around them, right? So you saw, like, for example, when I just saw Brandon, right? I could have very easily not even looked at him, right? And just kept doing what I was doing. But I'm like, hey, like Brandon, like smile, calling him by name, making him feel important by smiling, being a lighthouse, right? Saying his name. And then he comes over, I invite him to get in the video. And then you guys notice in the conversation, I'm asking him, I'm making him feel important. I'm just saying questions about him, telling him about the ice cream, the Greek yogurt and stuff, right? So when it comes to just like any type of relationship, if you want to feel appreciated, you always want to make others feel appreciated. So it's like you always receive what you give to others. It's like you have to give to get, basically, right? So like by making people feel important, by sharing things, talking about them, talking about things that they're interested in, like that's the best way to get it reciprocated. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of share that. It's kind of a cheat code. One sec, there was a bug on Marshy's arm. I was gonna slap it off. All right, anyways, guys, let's get gritty with these curls. Let's have some fun. Gritty reps. Gritty reps. Gritty reps. I love the grit, guys. I don't know why this does not even feel that heavy. Shit. I remember when like this used to be so heavy, but when you practice the gritty reps for a while, you just get way stronger, guys. All right, that's enough. So I want to share with you guys another important book. I'm kind of giving away all my secret sauce right now, but I don't care. I love being helpful. So Atomic Habits, guys, this is a great one, okay? Now Atomic Habits is like, there's always this blend between the metaphysical and the physical, right? So you can have the right philosophy, have all the right beliefs, right? You can have the vision, you can believe in it, but unless you're willing to act in a way that is consistent with it, then you're kidding yourself, right? I always say a vision without action is deception, right? So if you're like me and you don't want to live in a distorted version of reality, but you want to live in objective reality, so your daily behaviors have to be consistent with your goals, your values, your vision, okay? So when it comes to that, Atomic Habits is a really helpful book because it's all about like, hey, how can I, in a very tactical way, set habits to live in a way that's aligned with who I'm committed to becoming? And a couple important ideas that I learned from that book. One, chapter 2 is all about identity-based habits versus goal-based habits. So identity-based habits, basically, James Clear, the author, describes how like any habit that you set that is just catered towards, hey, I want this goal, I want this outcome, is very short term, is very fleeting, right? That's why like a lot of people will be like, okay, I want to get skinny, so I'm gonna do this diet to get skinny. Or say, I want to get this goal, so I'm gonna do these things, I'm gonna go on the grind, I'm gonna set this goal, follow this plan so I can get this thing. But then they normally revert right back to where they were. And that's because of this idea. He said the most lasting type of change you can create is identity change, right? That's at like the root core. So the way to do this is think about, okay, what results do I want? Maybe I want six-pack, right? But then you got to think, who would I have to become to get a six-pack? Like, what type of version of myself? I would have to become a consistent person, a growth-minded person, a person that appreciates long-term gratification over instant pleasure, a person that loves progressing and growing and pushing themselves, a person that views working out as an opportunity to grow in self-esteem, a person that thinks of food as fuel, right? So you kind of create this mental picture of like this new version of you that you have to become. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to do these actions to become that version of me. If I become that version of me, I'll have what I want, right? The version of you that you are today can't have what you want. If you could, could, you'd already have it. You have to literally evolve. You have to become a new version of you to get new results. So that's a really important idea in the book. And then he just gives some strategies on how to actually do that. And like the best way to set habits basically is like there's 4 ways. He's like, you can make it easy, you can make it obvious, you can make it attractive, and you can make it satisfying, right? So you can make it easy, you can make it obvious, you can make it attractive, and you can make it satisfying. So when it comes to the gym, right? Let's say, let's say you struggled with working out consistently. How can I make it, one, more obvious? Okay, I can make it obvious by, okay, one, like setting my calendar, okay? So you want to set your calendar in advance. What days am I going to work out? What time am I going to work out? Okay, like you should be able to write a very clear statement. Like, I will work out on these times at this day so that I can become a fit, growth-minded, best version of myself, right? And then you can even do other things, like just put your gym clothes on right in the morning, right? That's what I do, right? I just put my gym clothes on. When my gym clothes are right there, my gym clothes are on, it's like, boom, working out becomes very natural, easy to do. Some other ways that you can make it obvious is, let me think, like just basically making it, decreasing the friction. So it's like anything that you can like make it, like let's say your gym is closer to you. Like if you can not have to travel 45 minutes to work out, like whatever you can do that's kind of fits more into your daily rhythm, the better. Like so that's probably some good. There's definitely more stuff that you can think of, especially if you just run this through ChatGPT. Hey chat, I want to make the gym obvious, easy, attractive, and satisfying. Give me some good suggestions to help me build the habit. Like that's a really effective prompt. Like another thing you can do is like make it easy, right? So like by doing the grip method, it's like a very sustainable workout. It's not like you're doing a HIIT workout where it's exhausting, you're getting your heart racing, your muscles are aching. It's like it's very sustainable, right? And it takes 45 minutes at the most. It's very high bang for your buck. It's like gonna be easier to stick to. Like you can also just like it'd be easy. Yeah, like that's probably the best way I could think for like easy. Also like not having to work out every single day of the week, like doing maybe 3-4 workouts a week. Like whenever, it's like always you want to think in terms of sustainability over intensity when it comes to building habits. Because if you can't work out for the rest of your life, what's the point? Like fitness is an infinite game. Like there's no winning the game of fitness. There's no making it. It's like the whole point of fitness is to keep playing the game and to just keep on constantly growing. So if you don't have a plan that can actually, you can see yourself looking forward to for the rest of your life, what's the point? Surely it's not to just go grind super hard, get this external validation, internal validation of, okay, I did it, revert right back and then repeat. Like surely you want a way that's like, okay, I can just always feel like I'm growing, expanding, and being the best version of myself, right? You can make it attractive, right? So when it comes to attractive, a lot of this is like reframing your brain around working out. Like for me, if you see me walking around here smiling, I love the gritty rep, right? I've trained my mind that every single time, every gritty rep is a vote I'm casting to get one step closer to my vision that I've convinced my mind is my life's purpose and is inevitability. And when the powerful thing is like, I love being congruent with that vision and I hate being incongruent. So it's kind of like a double-sided coin because it makes like doing vices, doing bad actions very unattractive because that's gonna leave that ache in my heart of that incongruency that is like physically painful. Like incongruency actually pains me. Like if I went a day like totally not sticking to the habits to lead to the best version of myself, I would feel like physical pain and that sucks. So like I love to live consistent with who I want to be. That feels really good. It's like a relief. So that's why it's really important to kind of reframe these things to make it more attractive to do virtuous actions like working out, eating nutritious meals, because you want to live in alignment with who you're committed to becoming. And you should learn to hate, you should hate incongruency. I always invite my clients to consider like, I want you to hate incongruency. I want you to love congruency. And then, so it's like reframe the game. And then you can make it satisfying, right? So the way to make it satisfying is like every time my clients finish their workout and they get this little screenshot, it says you lifted this much weight, and they can screenshot it and text to me and they got their coach hyping them up. That makes it more satisfying, right? When you have like a tribe you're a part of, like the optimizers, right? And you feel like, okay, I'm one of the tribe. That makes it more satisfying, more attractive, right? Like even just like when you do the grip method, like the lack of soreness that you get, it's like makes it a lot more satisfying too. You just leave the gym feeling strong, feeling like an optimizer beast. You don't like feel aching and pain. So that all makes it satisfying, right? And then when it comes to like the inverse, if you want to stop doing habits, you want to make it like not obvious. So like you want to make it invisible, you want to make it hard, you want to make it unattractive, and you want to make it dissatisfying, right? So like food, when let's say you want to stop eating junk food, make it invisible. Throw all your junk food away. Magically, you'll have a ton of discipline and it'll be super easy because you have nothing that's tempting you. That's personally my preference. That's always my go-to solution. Super easy to act with discipline when it's the only option that you have. Make it hard to like I think it's kind of the same type of thing with the food. Make it unattractive, right? Like kind of like I said, junk food, if I'm immediately think how am I gonna feel after I finish, I'm gonna feel like shit because I basically slapped myself in the face and didn't take an action that was aligned with my commitment. That feels very unattractive. That would help me break that habit. And then dissatisfying, same thing, like, so you can kind of use these these little 4 ideas, that's called the habit loop, kind of help you inevitably do the things to create consistency with who you're committed to becoming. So that book really did help me a lot, guys. Atomic Habits by James Clear. And yeah, guys, those are the 4 books that really changed my life. A couple honorable mentions. One I mentioned was Buy Back Your Time. Another I'll mention is The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem by Nathaniel Branden. That book is great. It just articulates all the ways to build self-esteem, from living with purpose, living consciously, self-acceptance, living with integrity, right? So it's like all these ideas, like living with responsibility, same types of fundamental core ideas, but it's a great book. Nathaniel Branden is a really smart guy. The Power of Intention by Wayne Dyer. This is a really good book. It's a little bit more woo-woo. It's a little bit more spiritual, but if you're into that and if you're really into faith, and I think it's a really interesting book. My favorite quote from that book is, treat yourself as if you already are who you're becoming. So it's basically my favorite idea in the book is like, he says, you are not your results. You are not your accomplishments. You are by default as a human being, you are the best version of you. And it's like, that's such an empowering way to think. It's like, I am by default my vision. That's my true self. And right now, like I don't have to define myself by my limitations. I don't have to define myself by my accomplishments, my current circumstances. So I don't have to compare myself to anyone, because I am the best version of me by default. You are the best version of you by default. It's like, treat yourself now as if you already were who you're becoming. I just love that idea. So that's a great book. Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. One of my favorite ideas from this book is he calls it head, hands, heart. Head, hands, heart, right? So it's like, first you picture in your mind who you're committed to becoming. Then with your hands, you do what that version of you does, and you for long enough until it settles into your heart, and then it's sustainable. So head, hands, heart, anything. Like if I wanted to, let's say I wanted to create an identity shift and I wanted to like become a drummer, right? Like I've never drummed a day in my life, right? So I would have to start picturing myself as a drummer. Okay, how would that fit into my vision? Like, okay, how is that gonna fit into my life? Okay, I'm a drummer now. Okay, now I start practicing drumming. I probably suck for the first week, first month, first 6 months. I'm probably not that good. Then I do it for long enough until it settles into my heart. So most of the things that you're already really good at, whether it's career, whether it's relationships, whether it's history, I don't know, like whatever your unique hobbies are, those are the things that you probably like already did a good job turning them into habits, like when you were younger, and now they're just a part of your heart. They're part of who you are, right? Your heart of heart, right? So if now you're kind of come to a later stage in your life and you want to recalibrate your self-image and like take on a new way of living, it kind of starts in your mind, like, okay, head, visualize, like what is that picture of that new version of me? Do what they do, act as if it's already reality until it settles into your core being. That's fundamentally, guys, how I stayed persistent enough to like go from a struggling business owner to now like a very successful business owner and a very persistent, consistent business owner, is because I did this process of like, I never allowed myself to waver from my intention of picturing who I was committed to becoming. And even when the circumstances were hard, I never stopped taking the actions as if I already was that version of me. And now it's been so long that it's just settled into my heart. And now the circumstances are starting to mold and shape themselves around my internal reality. So that's kind of how you can create your reality from like inside out. And then last one, You Were Born Rich by Bob Proctor. This is an audiobook. Same kind of ideas, same ideas. It's just like fitness is your birthright. Like that's like abundance is your birthright. You crushing, like you were born to crush. I just love, like I love that sentence. You were born to crush. Like if you give yourself the permission to believe that, like I was born to be fit, it's like, okay, like that's my natural state. That's like, imagine, imagine like I like this scenario with like the teeth, but it's like, imagine you have white teeth and you're like, okay, I was born to be a white teeth kind of person. And then somebody, for some reason, like randomly you woke up tomorrow and you had yellow teeth. You would still think of yourself in your mind as a white teeth kind of person. You would still think in your mind, I was born to have white teeth. And even though your circumstances randomly were inconsistent with reality, your internal reality, you would start doing the things every single day. You would feel like very deprived, and you would ultimately like brush your teeth super consistently for however many months it took to get back to the reality in your inner world. Well, same thing with your fitness. If you had just choose to adopt the belief, I was born to be fit, like I already was fit. Imagine yesterday you already were jacked and shredded, and today you woke up and for some reason somebody played a prank on you and you were now behind where you should be and where's your birthright, right? You would feel super motivated to like do whatever it takes to be more consistent with your self-image. So the only person that can limit you is yourself and your own mind, and just acknowledging and accepting thoughts of like, okay, this is just who I am. I'm just a chunky person. I'm just an inconsistent person. I'm a stagnant person. I'm a lazy person. Those beliefs are the only thing that can hold you back from your true potential. Because if you the minute you entertain that, you're done. The minute you entertain that, you're done. So you have to really like draw your line in the sand. Say like, I was born to be fit. I was born to be the best version of me, and I will embody that version of me every single day or die trying. And if I make a mistake, I'll bounce right back. And the minute you choose to adopt that belief and then you show up to the habits every single day to turn your internal reality into an external reality, like it will become become an inevitability. So I hope that was helpful, guys. Those are basically all the books that I've read on my growth journey that have been like the most impactful for me in my life. And yeah, I want to share it all with you because I truly desire to be just as helpful as I possibly can. And I hope that served you in some way. If you just so happen to watch that whole video, that was an extremely long video, basically giving away all the sauce, but I hope that was helpful for you. And yeah, I hope you're crushing. Later, skaters. Peace.